Hello everyone and welcome back to DCS. Today another quick startup and takeoff tutorial. Today we're looking at the JF-17, which is a interesting aircraft. Give you just a quick synopsis just because these startup and takeoff procedures just hilariously fast, and who wants to watch quite literally a 3-minute video. So the JF-17 is a multi-role fighter aircraft, which, you know, you think of aircraft, when you think of multi-role, for me at least, I think of like the F-16, something like that. And this does kind of have a F-16 essence, obviously your single center-mounted engine, your multiple weapon stations, that sort of thing. But what really is interesting about the JF-17 is it actually does have components from the F-16. I believe the main landing gear, possibly even the HOTAS on the left, is out of the F-16. I know the landing gear for sure. I'm not sure about the HOTAS. And then obviously, if you're familiar with Russian aircraft, if you look at our single center-mounted engine, that is a engine out of a MiG-29. So it's kind of a combobulation of different aircraft put together to work. And I do personally enjoy this aircraft. I picked it up on sale. Actually, right now is a great time, if you haven't already, to step into DCS World, because right now, due to the whole coronavirus, self-quarantine, stay at home, that sort of thing, they've made everything free. Everything. All the modules, all of that stuff. So if you're, been itching to try something out, now's the time to do it. They're calling it their free-for-all event. But anyway, I will stop rambling. We'll get the startup process going. It takes literally minutes. It's hilariously fast. So we're going to start over here on our right-hand forward-most electrical panel. Get the battery, AC, and DC gens going. Come down here to our volume control panel. Get our oral warnings and that set as needed. I'm going to set our AAP to combat mode. And then, even though her voice is a lot more soothing than consistent beeping and that sort of thing, we are going to hush her down. Excuse me. Coming over to the left-hand panel, this is all of our engine control stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on our fuel pumps, engine control to on, uncage our throttle, and then I'm going to turn on our engine hydraulics and our chars, turn on our radio, and then on this multifunction display, I'm going to go ahead and pull up our EPI1 and Engine Performance Indexer page just so we can watch our engine parameters while we're starting. And then on our ground start switch, we'll press and hold that for a few seconds until we see some N2 rotation. I think it's actually only 4 seconds, so you can see we've got N2 rotation. You can probably actually hear the engine spool in the background. We're going to keep an eye on our EPI1. I'm going to go ahead and bring up the brightness for our UFCP as well as our HUD. So those will be ready to go. While the engine's spooling, I'm going to call our ground crew, have them get us our INS-aligned parking cord.
Coordinates ready.
Alright, we'll set our INS to fast. And we will enter our true heading. So we've got to wait those 37 seconds. So we've passed 60%, so pretty much all of our lights are going to extinguish. We're going to come over here to our environmental controls, set that to normal. And you can do this before or after. I usually do it before. I just slipped my mind while doing the tutorial video here. All of our external lighting. So now you can see we've got... Oh, I haven't turned my master lights on. There we go. So now you can see we've got our navigation lights on each inlet. You can see our formation lights, which are LEDs, based off of the modeling. Not sure on the real JF-17. I would assume that they're LEDs as well, as compared to the incandescence on the intakes. And then on the top of the tail, we've got our flashing strobe and our rear navigation, which I'm fairly certain they did a touch-up on the flashing strobe. Either that or it was an issue with my computer before, because it wouldn't flash at the one interval rate that you would expect, like on the F-16. Anyway, it's getting noisy outside, so we're going to go ahead and close our canopy. Left click that once, so your arrow matches up to the green. Wait for your canopy to shut entirely. like that, and then once more, left click, and that will seal it up. INS is still going. I'm going to go ahead and arm our ejection seat by removing this flag right next to our handle. And then there is a arming lever as well. We will toggle that on. To turn on our seat ejection zeroing, I'm not sure if that actually does anything, and there's not really a way to test it, because what that would do is when you eject out of the aircraft, it would zero out, essentially wipe all of the computers on board the aircraft. So if the aircraft did land intact, wasn't destroyed by either an impact or a post-crash fire, then, you know, if the aircraft is recovered by hostiles, then you wouldn't lose any sensitive information. I'm going to go ahead and update our data cartridge data. I guess have the ground crew do it, rather.
DTC now. DTC update complete.
Turn on our chronometer, then we'll go ahead to the lowermost panel right above our flashlight and insert our data cartridge. On our left, multifunction display is going to change to our data cartridge page. I'm going to select all and enter. While that's going, I'm going to get the rest of our display set up. So I like to have my AFD, Airport Facility Directory. I know. Yeah, so I'm going to config error, which is fine. Over here, I'm going to do SMS. And then I'm going to go HSD. Nope, sorry, not HSD. EFIS. This will become our HSD once the INS is finished aligning. Alright, data cartridge is done. I'm going to make this my targeting pod. Like so. Obviously it's off right now. Don't really need it on the ground, but that's what it will be. That's my center mounted targeting pod there. And then I'm going to set this guy up as, I always do that. There we go. Map. And then this is going to be H. I swear I'm not stupid. Okay, sometimes. Okay, so should be all set there. Very last thing for us to do, we're going to go ahead and take off our parking brake, set our lights to taxi, and we'll do a quick control surfaces check, because why not? Good free movement of our ailerons and our elevator. They're actually elevons on the back, as you can see. So when I do up-down movement, that's our pitch elevator, but also when I go straight left-right, the elevators also put in aileron movement, making them elevons. There's a useless fact for you. Rudder without nose wheel steering is good. We'll go ahead and turn on nose wheel steering, and you can see our nose wheel does deflect fully in both directions. Do a flaps and a spoiler check. Make sure that they're not interfering with anything. Which the spoilers I don't expect to, it's just the flaps, don't want any interference there. Go ahead and retract our speed brakes. We're going to leave the flaps down, we're going to be using those on takeoff. Park brake is off. I think we are all set to taxi out and attempt to take off. I know we've got the config light, but what I have on my SMS page does line up, so I have my PL-5 air-to-air missiles, my LD-10s, 2 of each, air-to-grounds, and then GBU-10s, and then my center mount targeting pod, all of which is cohesive with what I actually have on my weapon stations, so not worried about the config error. We're not even going to deploy munitions, so throttle up a bit, turn on our nose wheel steering. Check left and check right. And if you thought starting up the JF-17 was easy, taking it off is even easier. I'll explain once we make it out to the runway. Okay, and here we are lined up on our active runway, and just to prove I'm not fibbing, you can see I just pulled up our control inputs so you can see where my controller is versus where the flight controls are. Rudder, elevator, ailerons, and then throttle. So, in the JF-17, you can advance to either full mill or afterburner. We're going to do afterburner because why not? Afterburner is cooler. It's better. It's just better in every single way. So we're going to go ahead and advance to full afterburner, and I am not going to touch the stick. The only inputs you'll see me doing is on the rudder pedals, and the aircraft quite literally takes itself off. It's a very, very weird thing, and it's something, especially coming off of like the A-10, or literally any aircraft where you do have to kind of finesse the aircraft off of the ground. It's very strange. It's very strange. So I'm going to go ahead and let us coast over to that center line. In fact, we'll turn nose wheel steering off. You can see I'm not touching the stick. It's doing that all on its own. The red is my input. The green is what the aircraft is actually doing. I am not touching the stick at all. It's still dead centered, and the aircraft just took itself off. I'm now going to grab my stick, bring in the gear, and nose us out a bit more. I'm also going to go ahead and bring in the flaps. But that's cool. The aircraft literally takes itself off. There's that new DCS sound engine we all love. So yeah, that's it. The JF-17 is a hilariously easy aircraft. It was designed that way for, you know, militaries that have a lower time to turn around between, you know, bringing new pilots in and that sort of thing. You know, they're not going to necessarily be able to learn some of the higher fidelity stuff that's in the F-16 or in the A-10 specifically. So if you are new to DCS, you do want a modern military jet, you don't mind the glass panel cockpits, like I know Cap off the Grim Reapers, he does not like glass panel stuff at all, which I can, you know, relate to. I am a glass panel fan myself, but to each their own. So if you do want to get into a modern military jet and you've been hesitant just because they are kind of complex, JF-17 is definitely the way to go. It's very much a click here, point here, shoot here. It even has a built-in RWR. Well, all of the aircraft in DCS, all of the modern aircraft in DCS have a built-in RWR. But this can actually tell you when an IR missile is launched at you in some cases. It's an extremely, extremely good aircraft to have. So anyway, that's going to do it for this one, you guys. I will catch you in the next one. As always, take it easy.